Hey everyone, we have some information coming out of the Department of Homeland Security that you need to be aware of. It is bulletins coming out for potential attacks here on the 4th of July weekend. I hope you guys are going to have a great weekend here, but you need to be aware of some of these threats so you can stay safe. I'm going to walk you through some of what the Department of Homeland Security has mentioned. We have New York officials out there also giving us warnings. We got specific locations of concern, and we have to tie this in with recent terroristic attacks against the United States. Some reminders of what has happened, and they are concerned that there will be copycat attacks this weekend. All right, friends, let's just get straight into it. All right, so the Department of Homeland Security has issued a warning about potential lone wolf terrorism attacks ahead of the 4th of July celebrations, with the big celebration in Washington, D.C., as well as, of course, celebrations all over the country. Not only the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have said for many years that they are concerned that the launching of fireworks, the sounds of fireworks, does mask the sound of gunfire. And this causes some additional problems for law enforcement on the evening of July 4th, as well as the whole weekend. The fact that people have more access to explosives than usual, these things can be reworked into things to attack people with in mass casualty type events. Also, at some of these events, people would not be nearly as reactive to the sound of gunfire because they think that it's just fireworks. So we got bulletins from the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security highlighting lone wolf attackers primarily for this holiday. Now, so this isn't just like a general things could happen. They're concerned that things could happen this weekend. Officials in New York expressing concerns about attackers motivated, as they put it, in true political speak, a wide range of grievances. Well, you got to have diversity even in your terrorists, right? Motivated by a broad range of racial, ethnic, political, religious, anti-governmental, societal, or personal grievances. So people who are upset or something, I don't know. Getting a little more specific here, Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, emphasized the need for vigilance. We've seen some from overseas and some that have been here, speaking of terroristic attacks, maybe gone overseas for a short period of time, becoming radicalized and coming back, or individuals right here in the United States. So we have to watch for it all and be diligent on all of it, and we'll continue to do so. Now, some areas of concern. 1, bulletins specifically mentioning San Francisco, New York, due to expected large crowds for fireworks displays. Concerns also include potential copycat attacks, similar to the New Orleans truck attack on Bourbon Street earlier in 2025. That showed bad people that they can do a lot of damage with just a truck. Recent U.S. attacks by lone actors, New Year's Day attack in New Orleans, the shooting of 2 Israeli embassy officials in Washington, D.C. That just happened a couple weeks ago. Firebombing of a march for Israeli hostages in Boulder, Colorado. They used Molotov cocktails to attack people. And the killing of 2 Minnesota lawmakers. That was an assassination. And they also shot 2 other people. The killing of the husband-wife, and then wounding of the other 2. Concerns over counterterrorism preparedness, that we might not be ready for this. The 22-year-old heading up the CP3 counterterrorism office has been criticized by some out there as not being up to the job. He was a Heritage Foundation intern, and hey, glad to have young people getting involved and everything like that, but should a 22-year-old be heading up the Counterterrorism Center for the United States. Some people thinking that was maybe not the best choice. We got additional challenges for law enforcement in focusing in on finding these lone wolf attackers. Former FBI Special Agent Ken Gray noted difficulties in identifying the lone wolf attackers, saying, quote, people are traveling internationally. They may have communications that are international. They may receive funding. They may receive training internationally. Those types of things are red flags that are easier to detect than someone who on their own decides to adopt a certain philosophy. So basically saying, previously when we had these jihadis coming after us, they would travel overseas, get radicalized, and they were easier to detect because they're traveling, where they're traveling to, and their international communications being intercepted. But those who are in the United States and keeping to themselves, because what they're consuming, let's just put it frankly, mainstream media. They're consuming mainstream media, and they're being told that Trump is a threat to democracy. He is a dictator, and he's basically the mustache guy from the 1930s and 1940s. So anyone with half a brain can logically put that together, that if he is that, then anything would be legitimate to do against him. Now, people with half a brain would also go, wait a minute, that seems a little extreme. But people with less than half of a brain, people who are on medications, might not go that second step and filter that according to what is reasonable and consequences. So that's the big concern, and that's what we've seen. People who are on all sorts of medications, particularly those medications that lead to hormonal changes due to their idea of changing which bathroom they get to use. And then also you got people on antidepressants. We've seen a lot of that. Those pharmaceuticals have a tendency to have a side effect of turning people into psychopaths, like violent, murderous psychopaths. All right, not only that, but we do have some side warnings here about cyber attack threats. The FBI issuing a separate warning about cyber attacks, specifically from a hacking group called Scattered Spider. You gotta love these guys naming themselves. It makes them sound so important and so, I don't know. But apparently the FBI thinks that they're a credible enough threat. What are they trying to do? Well, they're trying to target airline systems by impersonating employees or contractors in order to get access to sensitive information, with at least 2 major airlines targeted, including flight ops. So I'm not going to say don't fly, but they seem to be saying that there are concerns about American aircraft due to hacking attacks. Now, they're attacking the airlines, so that's a little different than the airports, or you can't get into the airport safety systems, but I don't know what you could do once you got inside the airlines, but I imagine it's kind of more just mucking up the system and making it so that everyone's late on their flights. That would be my assumption, but the FBI is warning us about that. If you guys have inside information on that, let me know down in the comments down below. The Department of Homeland Security and FBI have a collaboration to enhance security measures to have a safe and secure Independence Day. That's supposed to make us feel good, right? FBI spokesman said the FBI always encourages members of the public to be vigilant and report anything that they consider suspicious to law enforcement. Of course, they say the obligatory stuff, right? If you see something, say something, right? But these are the threats that they're saying, that they're identifying in their bulletins. Bulletins note concern over copycat attacks inspired by the 2025 New Year's Day vehicle ramming attack in New Orleans. So, if you're in a large crowd, keep your head on a swivel and be looking for vehicles plowing through the crowd. As you enter into your areas, check to see if the vehicle barriers are intact. Are there vehicle barriers preventing vehicles from getting into the area where you consider it to be a pedestrian safe environment? If you're in a large group or there's lots of people around and there are vehicles on the road, you need to be able to assume that these vehicles can get up on the sidewalk. Vehicles can jump sidewalks. It's not like that can't be done. In fact, it's done all the stinking time, okay? So there's ways of jumping curbs and everything like that. Like Secret Service agents are trained in how to do that properly. I once got my hands on a book about counterterrorism, and it had a whole section about evasive driving, and part of it was how to properly mount a curb to get onto to a sidewalk if you need to evade, right? So don't think you're safe just because of a curb. You need full vehicle barriers, and even then, you still need to be aware of what's going on around you. All right, so ramming attacks. Remember the attack in Boulder, Colorado, Molotov cocktail attack. If, this is possible that somebody might start throwing flammable substances. Now, Molotov cocktails usually have to hit the ground or hit a building or something like that for the glass bottle to shatter and then the flammable liquid to come out. Remember, the faster you get to the person and smother the flames with a coat, jacket, clothes, smother the flames. That's what you need to do, okay? If there's water nearby, you can take them and you can throw them in the water. That could work. That's not a bad idea, but the faster you respond to somebody who is on fire, the better. And remember, if you're on fire, the first thing you need to do is stop, drop, and roll. Now, if you got flammable liquid on you, that's not going to help so much. That's getting clothes off that are on fire. I know, most of us haven't really thought about what would happen if you get doused in some flammable liquid and lit on fire. That's a truly horrific thought, actually. Not only that, but we do have a lot of people with access to fireworks. Fireworks can be repurposed into explosives. Remember we had the Boston attack, right? That was a while back, but that is also a concern there. What was that? I want to say Patriots Day, but that doesn't make sense. But we have people can take fireworks and repurpose them into pressure containers and can set up large attacks on people. So keep aware of bags that are just laying in places that they shouldn't be. Steer away from bags that seem to be unidentified and not attached to a person. Bags in general are not a great thing for large gatherings, but they happen. People take backpacks in and everything like that. But just be hyper vigilant about what's going on around you. If you're in a place where you can carry, that's on you, whether you're doing that. Of course, make sure that you know what you're doing. Make sure you know what's behind what you're taking out, right? That's a huge thing too, is making sure that you only take out the target and not the people behind them. In addition to that, we have this brazen attack on the firefighters up in Idaho that just took place. That seemed to be actually targeting firefighters. So we got the attack on Iran that has happened, and we were threatened with retaliation from Iran. So we may see Islamic Revolutionary Guards, people inside the United States, cells, could launch attacks on 4th of July celebrations. So, again, should you be living in fear? Should you just stay in your home and not live a life because something bad could happen? If you want to, you can, okay? But for most of us, we need to live our lives as we see fit. But you should be aware that if you go into a crowded situation, that there are elevated risks of being in a place where something bad could happen, right? So just be aware of that. If it's a scheduled event with a large crowd, people knew that event was happening, and they could have prepared bad things for it. So if you have an option, be a little further away from the crowd. If you have, make sure that you're in a place where you can kind of keep a little bit more of an eye on the people around you, and help protect the crowd by looking at things around you. Don't be so focused in on the fireworks or whatever you're watching that you're not paying attention to anything that's happening around you. Vigilance is something that needs to happen. And not only are you looking out for yourself and potentially your family, but you're also helping protect the crowd around you. So lots of other people are depending on you as well. If you have some thoughts or tips, pop them down in the comments down below. Those are the things that we're hearing from the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, who are warning us that there could be issues. Now, they're saying that they don't actually have any specific credible threats to 4th of July celebrations, but they do have generalized threats, and they do have extra concerns because of this holiday. And the attacks on Gaza, as well as the attacks on Iran, have these intelligence agencies more concerned, because these are not the typical homegrown or internationally radicalized terrorists that we're used to dealing with. These are more dedicated people who are loyal to their governments and loyal to their training. They could have been trained overseas before they came into the United States, and they are trained to evade detection. And that's the real concern here, is that these people will actually be good enough that they can stay off the radar in order to launch an attack on the United States. And with Iran and with Gaza, shock and awe is their preferred speciality. Now, you may say, well, those things happened a while ago. We've gotten peace treaties and ceasefires and stuff like that. But remember, these type of attacks take a long time to plan. Israel took months and months and months to plan that attack on Iran. And we're told that it took up to 2 years for that attack on Israel by Hamas, right? This was not just kind of like a spur of the moment, something happened last week and they're doing something this week. Things have happened over the past decades, and because of that, they have been planning for years to do this type of attack. So that's what we could be facing. We could be facing longer-term, larger-scale attacks that took planning and time, and that's what we may be looking at this weekend. So if you have other thoughts, pop those down in the comments down below. Let us know. And, do you think there's any reason to be concerned? Or do you think not? Hopefully you guys get out and enjoy things and celebrate and parades and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully you also stay vigilant at the same time. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining us. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.